I can find my opening remarks. There we are. Okay. Welcome to the August 19th, 2025 meeting of the Planning Board. First, we'll take a roll call to introduce board members and staff. Mike Derderian.
Present.
Maureen Collins-White.
Here.
Phil Giordano.
And I'm here too.
I'm Ellen Rawlings. I'm also here. We are joined as well by Elijah Romulus, our town planner, and Luca Saletti from Westwood Media Center. The meeting is recorded by Westwood Media Center and broadcast live on local cable television Comcast Channel 6 and Verizon Channel 42. Meetings are also live on the Westwood Media Center's YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining the meeting via Zoom, you can find the login directions in the Planning Board meeting notice that is posted to the calendar section of the town's webpage at https://www.townhall.westwood.ma.us/. We will begin the meeting with only the board members and staff unmuted and on video. As the chair recognizes individuals to speak, we will unmute them. Board members may choose to mute themselves when they are not speaking in order to minimize background noise. For applications, the chair will first invite the applicant to address the board and give a presentation summarizing what is being requested. Board members receive the application materials prior to the meeting and will have reviewed them. Board members may ask questions during and following the presentation. Staff and outside experts will provide comments to the board. If the issue includes a public hearing, the board will then proceed to the public comment portion of the public hearing and will restate the instructions. In this remote meeting format, residents and guests may participate in several ways. Attendees should raise their hand and wait to be unmuted and recognized to speak over the Zoom meeting application or from a telephone dial-up. We will be able to hear you but not see you. Additionally, comments may be submitted by email or regular mail prior to the meeting. When we come to that part of the meeting, I will remind everyone of the process. Following the public comment portion, the board will deliberate and make a decision or continue the hearing to a specific future date. All remote meetings require that votes be taken by roll call. When a motion and second has been made, the chair will ask if there's any further discussion before proceeding to a roll call vote and will then restate the results of the vote. All right, that takes care of that. Elijah, do we have any changes to our agenda this evening?
Yes. The first is for 174 University Ave, the Chase Bank application. We are still in the process of doing the peer review, and as it is not a public hearing, it is within the board's right to just remove it from the agenda and add it to another agenda at whatever date and time certain without any action.
All right, so you will keep us posted on when they are ready to, it sounds like we don't have a date in mind right now, so you will just notify us when they are ready to come before us?
Yes, most likely a September meeting.
All right, then if there's no objections from my colleagues, I say we move on to agenda item number 2. I'm seeing everyone nodding. Yes.
Madam Chair, just one other agenda change. I know you had mentioned earlier in the month to invite our colleague who did end up resigning from the board. Sean Weller is here in attendance, and I know that you wanted to bring him on to give a proper send-off. So I think that could be considered under agenda item for miscellaneous and administrative updates.
Awesome. Is there a way we could change the order so that if Sean chose not to stay for the remainder of our meeting, we could speak with him now? Is that amenable to everybody? All right. All right. Well, then with that, let's bring Sean in as a panelist. Hey.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, Sean. How are
Hey,
you?
Sean.
I'm good. How are you all?
Are you somewhere in the bowels of New Haven?
Not quite the bowels, but pretty close.
Do we have somebody taking minutes, by the way, Elijah?
Oh, yeah, I don't see Jess.
Just
yes, she
just strike
is
the
going
word
to-
bowels. That would be
yes, we will. That's actually why I thought of that.
Yes, she will be taking minutes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yes, so Sean, welcome back. And you're, of course, more than welcome to
Sure.
continue to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but this way you don't have to. I know you're probably super busy. So for the general public and for, everyone, Sean has left us for New Haven, Connecticut to attend grad school at Yale, which is a tremendous achievement. I'm not surprised at all that Yale would take Sean. I'm very sad for us, but since that was kind of unclear before our last meeting, we didn't get a chance to properly thank Sean for his time and service on the planning board and to Westwood. Prior to serving on the planning board, Sean was on the Finance and Warrant Commission and served with distinction there, just as he served with distinction on the planning board. And I'm personally grateful for your time, your commitment to our work and our process, and also for your insights, for your passion for this work, for your commitment, and for your friendship. And I will miss you very, very much, as will we all. And Westwood is, I don't say this lightly, Westwood is better for your service. So thank you.
I want to echo Ellen because in the time that we've been on the planning board together, Sean, it has been an absolute pleasure. You've brought unique insight. You brought energy and passion that I think has been especially appreciated and certainly should be, valued in our town. And I just want to say that it's been an absolute pleasure and congratulations and good luck with all your endeavors in the future. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, and I echo and second and third to all that. We only worked together for a few months, Sean, but
Not long enough. Yes.
every minute of it. And I'm the only thing I'm thinking of is, can we hire Sean, per hour to do to read the motions?
Well,
Yes.
I know.
I'm a little concerned. I'm panicked that I'm going to become next
You
Sean.
don't realize
I'm
we're
open
gonna
to a
get
campus
Elijah
job
to do
if
it.
You can have an internship. Let's see if we
Yeah.
can work that out with
I
Yale.
need a little spending money. These MBAs are hard to keep up with. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that. What did you have you finished, Michael?
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Sean, getting to know you, and good luck with what's happening down in Yale. And we will miss you. And I know who is going to read the motions, because I talk fast, but then I start skipping words. So
Yeah.
best of luck. And can I ask a personal question, or is that not allowed? What are you going to be pursuing?
we're working on that. So we'll see. I'll let you all know. How about that?
Yeah, well, good luck, whatever.
To be determined. We'll see.
Yeah.
To be determined. It's a wide world. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
lots
it
of
is.
interesting opportunities. And
Yeah.
I've been working in management consulting the last few years, and there are some great opportunities in that space. But listen, the planning board, it's kind of interesting to watch sort of what's happening with real estate development and all these worlds as well. So I'll keep you up to date.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, I'm going to be looking for guidance when the task force gets going, because
Exactly.
all of a sudden I'm going to be like, oh no, now what do we do? So, but
I have a
Congratulations,
lot of
Sean.
ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elijah.
Yeah, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. If the chair will indulge me, I have a
Absolutely.
quick, not totally brief, but hopefully quick statement of my own, and I'd like to share it. Is that all right, Madam Chair?
Absolutely.
So great, thank you so much. And as you have known or are just learning, I submitted my formal resignation from the planning board earlier this month to begin my Master of Business Administration at Yale University. I'd like to just take a few minutes to really express my profound gratitude to you, to my fellow board members, to Elijah, Nora, Amanda, the town staff who listened to my many, many musings, whether you agree or disagree, and to my neighbors who have really captured my heart and will be with me forever in many ways. Serving on this board has been one of the deepest honors of my life. I ran because I believed Westwood needed to grapple very creatively with some hard and I think sometimes difficult to reconcile questions about community, about housing, about conservation and sustainability, about balancing growth and opportunity with preservation, and about the remarkable character of the town of Westwood. And I think I leave more convinced than ever that local government that with you is where these questions matter most. I also leave more convinced than ever that Westwood is among the most special places on earth. And I want to thank you, my fellow board members. Thank you, Ellen, Phil, Mike, Maureen. Thanks to Kate and Josh, with whom I had the privilege of serving for a year. Thank you, town staff. Thank you to the many neighbors with whom I've been privileged to share conversations, even when we've disagreed. I think wrestling really openly, honestly, earnestly with our many visions of what's best for Westwood is the essence of a high functioning democracy. And I think it's something we do much, much better in Westwood than in most places around the country or around the world. I'm in particular really proud of how this board has navigated some really tricky things. The MBTA Communities Act. I think a lot of projects around infrastructure upgrades across the town at this really pivotal moment for us. I'm proud of the effort we've put in to truly turn the words of our comprehensive plan into action and getting a design guidelines task force set up. I'm really proud that we've given some consideration to the character of our built environment, probably to the chagrin of a few people trying to bring projects before the board. But I think those are the things that make Westwood feel like Westwood. And I look forward to watching the work of the Design Guidelines Task Force. And Phil, I'll be supporting it in whatever way I
I'm going
can.
to be texting you and say, what are we doing?
Yeah, that sounds good. Is that allowed? I don't know. I'll run that by someone. So,
Yeah.
something that got me interested in the board in the first place when I was serving on the Finance Commission. I'm proud of the sustainability bylaw. I know it wasn't perfect, but it opened the door to a lot of great things. And as someone coming from a younger generation, and as some of you know, and maybe don't know, someone expecting my own first child in December, I'm happy that we're doing that for the world. And I'm really proud of all the amazing projects that have emerged from this board. And thanks to the developers who have brought those projects and worked with us. And thanks to you for the many, many late nights, fellow board members kind of critiquing that together and making these projects better. I hope the board continues leaning into the hard work, the work that matters. I think in the years ahead, Westwood's going to face some critical decisions that need to balance all those difficult, important interests, everything from housing and community development to character and opportunity and conservation. They aren't always easy to reconcile, but they also aren't abstract policy debates. They're about what kind of place Westwood will be 10, 20, 50 years from now, when hopefully I have the chance to be there again. So my hope is that you'll continue to ask not just what's easiest today, but what's right for tomorrow. Push past first reactions, try to find the creative solution that may not be obvious from the start, but that brings our community together. And I'm stepping down now as I start my MBA at Yale, but I feel lucky to count myself among the small group of people in this wide world who have gotten to call Westwood home. I'll be cheering you on, and as someone who's chronically unwilling to say goodbye, this probably won't be the last time I see you. So for me, it's not a goodbye to public service. It's just the next chapter. I'll carry the lessons from this board about leadership and community, lessons I learned from each of you with me wherever I go. I learned a lot from you. I learned a lot from Westwood. And now I'm going to be talking about it a lot here, and Yale will be learning a lot from Westwood as well, whether they like it or not. So thank you for trusting me with this responsibility. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Maureen. You are two outstanding additions to the board. You're going to carry such great work forward. Thank you, Phil. I didn't know you coming into this, but getting to know you has been one of the greatest joys. I love you. You're an extraordinary mind for all these things, and I hope you continue to be a leader in this work. And Ellen, thanks for being someone who encouraged me to run. Sometimes it takes that as a very first step, and someone might not see themselves in that role, but that push and that mentorship and that engagement really made the difference. And I'll be forever grateful. So now, as I share the stories of what we've accomplished here, I am looking forward to what's next. Thanks for trusting me with this. Thanks for letting me ramble on for a couple of minutes. Thanks for letting me be a part of shaping our town's future. And thank you for proving that even in a world full of division, neighbors can still come together to do some really hard things and create a place that is really, truly, in the deepest sense of the word, home. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. That was
It was
beautiful.
very, very wonderful.
I don't
Well
want to say
said.
anything after that. I want to leave it on that note. And I will just say, don't wait 10 years to come back. When you're done with New Haven, we'll be waiting for you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Until we see each other again.
Thank you, Sean.
We will see you soon. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Sean. I'm not a big fan of goodbyes either. So
No.
let's just leave it as until next time.
Until next time.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad we did that first. Okay. So our next agenda item would be, do we need to finish out other administrative updates since we're on that agenda item? Elijah, I can let you have the floor for that.
I think we can move
We
back.
could probably
up
go
to,
back to it, I think.
Okay, we can loop back to it. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure
let's get
procedurally if
these
we
people
had
waiting.
to.
Let's
All right.
get it going.
Procedurally, as long as that's fine, I'm good with that. All right, so then we will now move on to agenda item number 2, which is 22 Everett Street. Consideration of proposed modification to a consolidated mixed-use and multifamily residential overlay district, MUMFROD, special permit and earth material movement environmental impact and design review, EMM-EIDR, approval to change one one-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom apartment in second building at 22 Everett Street, the block at 22 Everett. All right, I think we have some folks from the applicant team with us.
yes, they should be joining the panel soon.
Good evening.
Good evening. Evening.
Mike McKay should be on, I believe.
Yes, I believe we have him as a panelist. Is there anyone
Yes.
else that we're waiting on?
No, it's just Mike and us tonight.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I did see because I feel bad following Sean. that beautiful speech, and congratulations to him. I'm jealous because a few years back I wanted to go to Yale, but I didn't. Anyway,
You and me both, Mr. Zaka.
So I think this is more correcting the record than changing it. But Elijah, I don't know if you can do this. I sent out earlier today. Did you see it? And updated. I think it's just quicker if you could bring that up. The latest attachment to the that I put on the OpenGov. Did you get that or not? I can try to see if I can share.
Yeah, I'll have to sign into.
Wait a second. I think if I could. Let's see if I can share. Oh boy, it worked. I usually, if I could. So what I did was I went through, and I'm going to go through this quickly, but I went through the original decision and then the modification, and I'll show you where there was a disconnect. So on this page, I broke down paragraph 9 of the original decision, showing you how the breakdown was described in the decision for building A. Likewise, the breakdown between 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom for building B. So in the middle here, you have this thing called total. So at that time, we had 83, based on this descriptions, which is paragraph 9 and 10, as I indicated, of the original decision. We had 83 1-bedroom units, 62 bedroom units, 17 3-bedroom units, for a total of 160 units. What I don't think any of us saw at that time, at least I didn't, was that in paragraph 11 of that same decision, when it talks about the distribution of those units between market rate, 60% and 80%, we ended up, and I highlighted, it went from, and just go to the bottom, we went from 83 1-bedrooms as described above to 84 1-bedrooms and 16 3-bedrooms. So there was a swap so the inconsistency between the description of building A, building B, and then when we described it here. So, but the summary of the architectural plans that we submitted dated November 28th, 2023, which is in your decision, you list the various documents that have been submitted. So we're consistent, meaning the 83, 60, 17 for a total of 160 units are consistent with both paragraph 9, except for the distribution of the various bedroom sizes between the floors, which I'll get to in a second, and paragraph 10. So what was inconsistent with this was that paragraph 11 breakdown. Then, whoops, jumped ahead here. Let's see. Then we modified back in, I think it was actually September of 2024. I think I put 2023, but and the purpose of that modification was simply to reconfigure the floor plan layout for building A. So what was modified was not the totals. So we still ended up with 40 in building A, 41 bedroom, 46 2-bedroom, and 13 3-bedroom. And then when you added it, we did not submit any new plans at that time for building B. So we still ended up with, if you added the paragraph 9 from this, plus what was in the original decision for building B, still ended up with the 83, 60, and 17. Paragraph 10, which again, this is in the modification, which is the breakdown, carried forward the same breakdown from the previous decision, which I submitting is inconsistent with the description of building A and B. And again, the 83, 60, 17 for the total units, 83 1-bedroom, 60 2-bedroom, and 17 3-bedroom is also consistent with all the plans that we've been submitting for the building permit. So at the end is paragraph, just sort of a recapitulation, is that the word? So paragraph 9 for building A, per paragraph 9 of the modification. Again, the totals stayed the same. It was just how we distributed those throughout the building, you may recall. Go back to paragraph 10 of the original decision, which described building B. So again, if you add those together, we end up with 160 units with 83, 60, and 17. So what I want to correct is this breakdown, which talks about market rate, 60%, 80%, where I believe, if I go back, the way it was written was 71 1-bedroom and 14 3-bedroom at market rate, and corrected so it reads 70 1-bedroom and 15 3-bedroom. So again, the totals add up consistent with the descriptions of building A and building B above, where we end up with a total of 83 1-bedroom, 60 2-bedrooms, and 17 3-bedrooms. Again, the total unit count has not changed, and as I say, the above is consistent with all the plans that we have been submitting to the building department. So how the board, I think I guess it is a modification of the decision. I looked at it more as a correction. So again, the bottom there is what we're looking to have this modification reflect, is that the market rate would be 71 bedroom, 51 2-bedroom, and 15 3-bedroom. And that would bring everything else into line. There are no other changes being requested.
Thank you. I don't mean to interrupt. Had you concluded?
Yes.
Okay, there was a pause, so I thought maybe, but I always like to
Oh.
check. Thank you. Thank you for that overview. I think at this time I'd like to go to Elijah, since we do have 2 new board members, and there was, I don't know, 13, 14 hours worth of public hearings on this, so that I certainly don't expect my colleagues to have caught up on, so that if Elijah could can you kind of give us an overview of how we got to where we got to with the final decision, and some of the flow of that, if you could.
Yes, so there were several meetings. Well, there were 2 pre-application meetings and then subsequent hearings once the application came through. The original special permit was approved in December of 2023. From that special permit, there was what we have found as a typographical error in what the original building count would be for the 3-bedroom units. If you do go back through the hearing process, you will see that on more than one occasion, the applicant did stress that they were trying their best to maintain a 10% 3-bedroom unit count for the proposed buildings. This was mentioned in multiple hearings, and what 10% broke down to was 16 bedroom units from the 160 units. The board actually at a few points had tried to work with the applicant and seeing how they might be able to kind of alter those numbers, but ultimately given the size of the project, there was remediating a Superfund site. There were a few other amenities that were being proposed, as well as just the ability, given the zoning district, the board did find that by that December 5th hearing, that they would ultimately decide on the special permit. With that, again, as I said, originally the intent was for 16 3-bedroom units. The special permit reflected 17 3-bedroom units in one area versus 16 described in the market rate versus affordable housing section for finding 11. The applicant then came before the board September 10th of last year to modify the floor plan layout and make some minor exterior changes. And from that, the breakdown of the units resulted in 16 3-bedroom units. And so when the applicant came to propose the outlay or the layout for their building B to pull the building permit, we did notice that one of the 3-bedroom units on the 4th floor was actually labeled a 1-bedroom when it was a 3-bedroom. And so this kind of sparked a review and kind of going back to see exactly where this occurred. And so we found that it was a typographical error in the original special permit. And so the applicant today is looking to move forward with the 17 bedrooms as it is mentioned in the original special permit, while if you look at the minutes and the recordings, the intent was actually for 16 3-bedroom units.
Thank you. Sorry, I was a little slow on unmuting myself. Thank you. I think at this time that I'm going to open it up to board member questions and comments. It's a whole lot to process, but if my colleagues have questions, comments, thoughts, happy to entertain them. Phil.
Yeah, we spent a lot of hours on this, Ellen, and I think it's a clear Scrivener's error. When I looked at it, I have no questions except, Mr. Zaka, how's the project going?
It's going very well. Unfortunately, other than and to the credit of your staff and the town, we did have to come back and modify building A in terms of the distribution, even though the total numbers didn't work. And then we got into some nitty gritty in terms of making sure that a 1-bedroom with a studio couldn't be turned into a 2-bedroom. So from that perspective, but I think it's going very well. And the reason we're trying to clarify this is we're trying to pull the building permit for building B
Right.
And that's when this had come up. And I don't mean to, and I don't disagree with Elijah in terms of the overview. I guess it's a matter of which one was the typo. But the board will also remember, those who were there, that we originally came in with less than 160 total units. We went to the 160, and so the mix changed overall because Westwood, to their credit, unlike a lot of towns, where all of the market, all of the so-called affordable would be at 80%, we're looking for a number of 60% market. So in order to accomplish that, the total went to basically 160 to make it economically feasible to proceed with the project. I also think if Mike isn't, I don't mean to interrupt while the board was talking, but that the one bedroom unit that appeared to be a one bedroom unit, I believe was actually a 3-bedroom unit on the original plan. And if Mike McKay is on, he could, I think it was sort of a drafting where something sort of went over the 3 and made it look like a 1. Mike, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Can you comment? You know more about that than me, so.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Michael McKay, the project architect. We actually, to fully answer your question, I think the project's coming out great. The interior spaces all the units are finished. Now working on some tenant fit ups, but
I
this
drive
came
by it
down
every
to
day.
definitely a drafting error. There was when we do our CAD files, we have labels for rooms, and one of the labels covered up the 3. It was clearly a 3-bedroom unit. It was 1, 2, and 3, a primary bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3, but a symbol, a wall type, let's call it, covered up the 3, and it looked like a 1. And that was it. It was a drafting error. And the initial application, we also had a drafting error. There's a lot of units, 160 units. The count was always consistent, but the drafting was a little inconsistent. Let's put it that way.
Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just thought I would add that.
Yeah, no, I watch with interest as it's gone from a hole in the ground to where it is today. So congratulations on all the progress you've made. I have no other questions, Ellen.
Thank you. I see Mike's hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice to see you again, Peter. I think I've seen you a couple times over the summer on a couple different projects. And Mike, nice to meet you as well. Thank you for coming to us. Our doors obviously always open. So first, thanks for the communication on this, and thanks to our town staff. They kind of went through all the hearings for us and summarized kind of the discussions at each hearing, the initial decision, the modification decisions, and kind of how those broke down. I guess I'm very confused at this point because reading kind of the breakdown of what was discussed, particularly at the December 5th, 2023 final hearing, it seemed like the 16 number for the 3-bedroom units was the number that substantively the board discussed and agreed upon. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Elijah, but the fiscal impact analysis that was done based on there being 16 3-bedroom units as well. And it appears, and again, I wasn't involved in this process, but it appears that the Scribner's error was that in the first decision, we mistakenly, it was a typo, 16 was changed to 17. So, but I'm also hearing the opposite now tonight, that, maybe there was just the clerical error goes the other way. So I'm just curious. I guess my first question for Elijah is, what was the substantive intent of the board on December 5th, 23? And what was the fiscal impact analysis? What number was that based on? And I'm happy to entertain changes to the original intent of the board, but I also want to make sure those analyses, are done properly and we see the impacts that the final density, will have.
Yes. So Mike, to answer your question, so the board's intent for the decision was for 16 3-bedroom units, and the fiscal analysis was done with 16 3-bedroom units in mind.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, with that in mind, my initial take here is I don't want to disturb the intent of the board unless we have further discussion on revising it. And to me, that would be a discussion on, what impacts, changing a 1-bedroom to a 3-bedroom would have fiscally, whether there would be any. There might be none. But I would want to have a discussion on that. I would just want to have more of a substantive discussion, as it doesn't appear to me that this is just a clerical error that we're just trying to fix, because the clerical error, kind of went the other way, so to speak. But I know, Phil, I guess my next question is for you is, did you see it differently, or did you see this as an error? How do you see this error? How do you view this?
I haven't gone back and looked at it. It was many hours when we did this. But I do recall your references. The core of the issue is not necessarily to try to redo the fiscal analysis. I think we vetted it very thoroughly and carefully. It's a little bit of it's almost like analogous to the as-built plans when you compare with what was decided and what was as-built. And as the process has been going along, my understanding has been that it has been going along consistent with what is now being presented as the minor modification. So I'm comfortable, particularly in light of the benefits and the tremendous work that's been done on this with the application.
And if I may, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
Mike and Phil, there is, if the board is so inclined, there is a modification to one of the conditions as it relates to, the school department and the agreement that the applicant had made in the previous decision to alter the number to kind of reflect this new change from 16 to 17 3-bedrooms.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I remember that now, Elijah.
Thank you. Did you have more, Mike? You look like you're pondering something.
I just wanted to ask Phil, so in terms of the ongoing work that's been done with the 17 number, other than, I guess, the building designs, so you've reviewed applications with that 17 number in mind, is that, or you've reviewed steps along the way where, this was the final number? I think my thing is I want to go with what the intent of the initial board decision was. And if we want to change that, I want to have a little bit of a substantive discussion on whether that impacts any of the issues you guys had previously discussed.
Well, I haven't been involved until tonight with what has happened since the planning board obviously made its decision. It's been either staff or, the building department. So
yeah,
this, until we got this on the agenda, this, I had not heard of how this was arising. One of the things that I viewed this, because there were many discussions in which we were talking about various numbers, various mixtures. Because of particularly, especially as it relates to the 3-bedroom, because that impacted the schools, and the schools, especially at this location, could have a significant impact. So there was a lot of discussions ongoing with that. And I'll confess, I did not go back and re-review what had happened back in December prior to the meeting. But once again, I think this is certainly consistent with what we had decided. I don't think it's a major modification. I think it should be something that should be approved. I mean, that's my view.
I see Elijah's hand up.
Yes, so I just wanted to add that, the board did ask for a fiscal review previously. There, as I had mentioned, there is a condition that alters the school-age children number. The board is within their right if they wanted to ask for an additional review. However, I do think the proposed condition that just alters the number of school-age children does kind of provide the needs for just the change in one 3-bedroom unit.
Elijah,
Thank
can you just explain the condition so we can understand it? I did read it preparing for this, but I just want to make sure I understand it.
Yes, so I will read it in its entirety. The applicant shall notify the Westwood School Department as soon as the residential apartments reach 95% capacity. The Westwood School Department shall then certify to applicant the actual number of school-age children who are registered to attend the Westwood Public Schools with home addresses at the property. In the event the number of school-age children so certified by the Westwood Public Schools exceeds 29 students, the applicant will pay and tender to the town of Westwood a one-time payment of the sum of $10,000 for each student in excess of 29. Given that that's the condition. Given that this change to 17 would then make it 30 school-age children, just changing that number from 29 to 30 would then make the decision in line with what is being reflected by the bedroom count, and it does give some ability for the town to, I guess, for lack of a better term, recoup or be able to provide the services needed for the town.
Is there a reason why it's triggered at 95% capacity? So for instance, if the building was at 93% capacity, right? This is a big building, I hope it gets filled up very quickly. I hope it's very profitable, but if it gets filled up only at 93% capacity, will that condition be triggered, right? Will there be a count? What happens if it doesn't reach the 95%?
Yeah, so at the time of the decision, the board and us as town staff just felt that allowing for the building to actually be at 95% and see the full extent of occupancy, that that seemed like the best opportunity. And there were moments in which the school department did stress they are in the business of educating students, and so they would be able to, at least until we can figure out the 95% capacity, educate students.
And the
Yeah,
difference
and
is
the
the difference is 148 to 151 units, according to what I did. So I think, that is relatively de minimis as it impacts the schools. If there is 148 versus 151, I don't think the school is going to be materially impacted as to school-age children or otherwise.
Also, to add to that, I just don't want to veer too far off in what we are
What
discussing,
the focus of this hearing is.
because they're I don't want to tread on any fair housing kind of
Yeah, totally fair. I want to make sure the fiscal effects that you guys made your decision upon is going to stay consistent. And I didn't have the benefit of going through all those meetings and hearings. I know, I understand there was a presentation on how they estimate school-age children, how they estimate fiscal impacts of a development such as this one. I can say currently, the elementary school in the area has underestimated their school enrollment in first grade by 7 people already this year. And I want to make sure that 95% isn't like a legalese that would not allow the town to, basically, I want to keep the fiscal impacts the same as when you guys made the decision. So if you feel comfortable with that, then I do. But I just wanted to raise the issue to make sure that, because to me, the 29 number, it could be a very good estimation. I didn't get, the benefit of that presentation, but, with a lot of 2-bedroom units and the 3-bedroom units, I want to make sure that that condition, Elijah, which I really like, that will allow the town to recoup some money, to help educate, would be effective. So, but
I think, if going back to, when we're talking about the fiscal impact, I think the key is, it is certainly a strong incentive for the developer to make sure that this is, to capacity to the extent it can. The de minimis impact between like 93 to 94 to 95%, which is just like a unit, or we're talking about a very small number of units in this, and the change that it could be to the school is, again, I don't see that as material, just from my understanding as to the elementary school that would likely be impacted, which I'm sure you know far better than I.
Yeah, I get what, so maybe I'm misunderstanding. So theoretically, though, if the building was at 94% capacity and there were 40 school-age children, we wouldn't get that $10,000 per child over 29, right? Because the 95% hasn't been triggered. It's like
any other trigger. I mean, it's any other trigger.
Yeah.
That would be
okay. I just want to make sure.
I mean, if I were Mr. Zaka and representing, Giorgio, I would say you didn't hit 95%. But once you hit that next unit, which I would be pretty confident they would hit at some point, so the payment may be delayed. It's not going to be avoided.
Yeah.
And so, just to that point, I just wanted to, the number, the school student population fluxes from year to year. We did rely on subject matter experts to make that calculation, and we're not sure this is the best educated
projections.
Yes,
right.
And projections.
These are projections. There's no guarantee. I mean, obviously, if you have a 3-bedroom, you have a greater likelihood of having children that are going to be living there as compared to not. And but again,
I know, I understand. My objection isn't to the number of children. It's just more to our ability to recoup some extra money to help with that cost. And my initial impression is 95 is basically this place has to sell out for us to get any money. And it seems a little high, but I was not part of any of the discussions, so I am just coming into this as a first instinct, blind. So,
but Michael, consider the financial impact. This property was paying, and we went through the property taxes. What's going to be the mix in terms of the commercial versus the residential? The financial impact on the town is a tremendous positive. This is net. This is a huge benefit to the town. And it provides affordable housing. Being a member of the housing, Fair Housing Committee, I think the scope, and we pushed to have another tier added in terms of the affordable housing component.
Yep. Thank you. I'm all done. I'd love to listen to everybody else talk and ask questions.
I see Mr. Zaka's had his hand up, so I'm happy to let you share your thoughts.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things, because I take notes and I don't want to have to answer 20 questions I can. First thing is, we're talking, one additional 3-bedroom unit. I don't want to lose sight out of 160. So I believe it's diminished, but we can argue where the typo was at the end of the day. But I will also indicate that, again, paragraph 9 and 10 of the original decision, but also the plans that were adopted. If you go through the summary sheets very quickly, you can go through all the summaries on the side. It says how many. And the summary sheet for building B is consistent with what was written in the decision, which was 43, 14, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
The 5% is the vacancy rate. I will tell you, Truziello Properties, Supreme Development, whatever titles they hold their property in, they have I think it's well over 400 apartments now. I think you would hear Mr. Petruziello screaming if we ever had a 5% occupancy. He has been, I've worked with a lot of landlords over the years, but he keeps his places nice, which is probably why he keeps his tenants. And most of the places have a waiting list. So 95, to have a 5% vacancy rate in these buildings is something that, look at, possibilities versus probabilities, but highly unlikely, the 90, and it's not built in there to try to say, oh, good, we'll keep it at 95 so we don't have to make the payment. But in terms of the that provision that talks about paying the money, we're not looking to change that. So I'm not looking to raise that. So if we go over, even with this additional, if you will, 3-bedroom unit, we're not looking to say, okay, change that number to now, we'll pay you if we're over 30. We're looking to keep it at the 29. If in fact the additional 3-bedroom brings in more, additional school children. And while you weren't there, we used Fougere does our fiscal analysis, and he is, again, here I am promoting my my experts, but he's well known as one of the best predictors. I think he's conservative, meaning on the high side. I mean, he went back and did an analysis just to show how it works on some of the existing buildings based on what he would come up with his numbers. And his numbers were actually, right on in terms of, if not a little bit higher than the actual school children. So we went through that exercise, but the bottom line is we're not looking at, I just want to get to that provision because right now it says if we go over, I think it's 29 children, it's 10,000 per head. So the fact that we're now, I keep saying correctly, but going to the total number of 3 bedrooms at 17 versus what appeared to be 16, we're going to keep it at 29. So there's more of an opportunity that if we go over the 29, that you'll get the additional 10.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
that is actually, I think we were discussing, as we just heard, to up that number to be in line with what the projection ostensibly would be. So I actually really appreciate that you're not looking to change that trigger number. Thank you for that explanation. Any other board members before I have a couple of things, but I would like my colleagues to speak first.
Oops.
We can hear you.
What did I say? Oops.
Yes. But your hand is up. So yes,
My
please.
hand's been up and down and up
Lori,
and
don't
down.
be shy. Go ahead.
I'm
The
not,
rest of us
I'm
talk
not
too much
shy.
anyways. The rest of us talk too much.
I know, well, I'm not going to say anything. So I guess I just have one question because I think you folks covered pretty much my questions regarding school capacity and, how much, and I knew it was a 95% occupancy and whatever. But I did have 2 questions. And now, of course, my brain just went puts. When I was looking, and I think this was also a typo, there was on Part D of it, and it was per paragraph 9 of modification. And I think that was another one of their typos because when I was trying to add up all the numbers, it came to 100 in building A. But I think that was just a typo because when you actually read what it said, the number was different than what they put on the chart. So I don't know if that's a permanent part of the record. I don't know.
Was this in the modification decision or
It's on the paper that said per paragraph 9 of modification.
Yes.
And then can you see this chart?
Yes, that's the chart I just had up.
I think it is.
Sorry. And of course, I don't know how to share screen.
Oops, I lost everybody.
Well, I do.
Let's see if I can bring it up again. So we're talking about, there we go. Can you see that?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, we can.
Yes. But you know what? On this piece of paper here, it has the correct number. On the one that was in the agenda, it said 15 for the 3rd floor in the 2nd bedroom.
So, if I may, so here's what happened again, just so if you go to the bottom on building A, 41 bedrooms, 46 2-bedrooms, 13 3-bedrooms for 99. And if you do it this way, you get 9 total. So what happened was when we went over the plans, we had 40, 46, and 13 for the 99, but we came to the board, and again, this says September of 23, it was September of 24, because what was discovered by staff and others was, while the units stayed the same, 40, 46, and 13, how they were distributed throughout the building was incorrect. So the September 2024 modification simply corrected the description by floor without changing the number of units in that building, which was this is building A, 99, and kept it 41 bedroom, 46 2-bedroom, 13 3-bedroom, but clearly on different floors. And so the one that's in front of you now that I have up on the screen that I spent way too much time on, and I'm not a good graphic guy, should be accurate, because I had 3 other people check it before I posted it.
Yeah, this looks like what the right numbers should be. There was a previous one that, or the one that's was in section D of our agenda. That chart had a different number than is here. So I think it may have been corrected.
Yes.
I just want to confirm that the previous chart had different numbers. So yeah.
Okay.
But if I understand correctly, the numbers that we're all viewing on the screen now are the correct ones, yes? Just so that we're all on the same page.
Yes, for the previous notification.
Excellent.
And there's no problems with there being 17 3-bedrooms. There isn't anything. As Mike has said, I wasn't there for the initial discussion and everything, and I'm not sure what other people, and I know what Phil thinks, but
just as your staff, I don't believe that adding the 1-bedroom unit will
swapping a 1 for a 3.
Right, and the fact that the applicant has agreed to remaining at the 29 number for the condition on school-age children.
Thank you.
That's actually a good segue, because I remember when I'm sure Mr. Zaka does, in one of the last conversations when we were asked to add 10 additional units, and the proposal was for all 1-bedrooms. There were some board members, myself included, that were really, I'll use the word pushing, because I was pushing to try and get another multi-bedroom unit, because one of the main tenets of the MBTA legislation was to create family-friendly housing. And to me, 1-bedrooms really weren't. So I was quite disappointed that it didn't look like it was going to work to be able to do that. So I'm actually happy to see that we can get another 3-bedroom that was already there. I think we just didn't realize it was there. So this to me is it's a positive in terms of the intent, and that's what I was pushing for. So as someone who was there, like, that's something that I was looking for. So, and I know there were other board members, I don't remember exactly who, but I know there were other board members that kind of were echoing that as well, that it would be nice to get a 2 or a 3-bedroom instead of 10 1-bedrooms. My questions were going to be around the fiscal impact. I noticed there was another note about we could potentially add an additional condition if we chose to ask for a revised fiscal impact statement, that if it looked like it was less net positive than it was before, that the applicant could make some kind of a donation. But frankly, if they're willing to not raise that cap from 29 to 30, I think that kind of works for me. That works out because I don't know that there's many other ways that the fiscal positivity would be impacted. I don't think that's a huge concern for me hearing that. I had one other question that's not directly related to everything we've been talking about, but I noticed in the staff comments, there was a comment from Dedham Westwood Water. There's an increase in access fee, which needs to be addressed. Could either Mr. Zacco or Elijah kind of just elaborate on what is the access fee? And is that because it would mean extra bed? I'm just curious what that means. And then I'll I'll be frank, the reason I'm curious why Dedham Western Water is increasing the fee is because I thought that the water to this building was coming from Norwood. I know we discussed that, and that's what I had last heard, is that it was the Norwood. So I'm curious why Dedham Western Water is looking for an increase in the fee.
Mike, you probably have more familiarity than I do, but my understanding is that the access fee is based on the bedrooms.
Yes.
Therefore, however, all the building permit plans have already been showing. So I am under the assumption that whatever Dedham Westwood Water has looked at this point probably won't change, but they have an application fee process that we would go through and, you know, pay whatever it is based on how they calculate that.
I guess
That's correct.
that still begs the question, where is the water coming from? Because I know when we were talking about approving this, it was positively stated that you were hooking into Norwood. So has that changed?
We talked about that quite a bit. I remember that, Ellen.
It is Dedham
And
Westwood.
Yeah, it's
so when did that change? Because that is not what we were told when we were going through the finals on this. I know that. I remember that clearly, that it was going through Norwood.
it was our, I remember, and again, Mike, you can jump in. Our intent was to try to bring it in from Norwood because I think it was like across the street.
Mhm.
But our applications to Norwood, and again, I'm not involved in that end of it. I apologize, the construction end. But there was, we were unable to bring it in from Norwood.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mike? I mean, you may know.
That's correct. It costs quite a bit of money to bring it in from Dedham Westwood, sorry.
Okay. Maureen, I saw your hand go back up.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask about the, does that impact the MBTA number at all? Going from the 1 bedroom to a 3? Do you know what I mean? Like the counts Nora does.
Yes, so the bylaw allows for a minimum of 10% of the units in the building be 3-bedroom units. So adding doesn't make a difference, at least as it relates to abiding by the bylaw.
It
And
doesn't add a number or whatever to the.
well, for our compliance of MBTA, it would be a small net positive, wouldn't it, Elijah? Remembering the calculations, I think it is a small net positive to us as it goes to compliance with the MBTA communities. So
That's right.
So that actually helps us a little bit as to the fact of us being complying with the state requirements.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from board members? I'm not seeing any. I think if we're so inclined, we have a couple of different motions to discuss and consider.
Yes. 1 second.
Mike, you want to tag team on motions now that Sean's gone?
I'm happy you asked.
I'll let you go first. I'll go next.
Okay, so I move that the planning board determine that the changes proposed in the application for second modification of the Consolidated Mixed Use and Multifamily Residential Overlay District, MUMFROD, special permit in earth material movement, environmental impact, and design review approval for 22 Everett Street, as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on August 7, 2025, are minor in nature.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, I think a lot of things about this conversation made me feel a little bit at ease. It sounds like, you know, Phil and Ellen, you know, you're pretty confident in the fiscal impacts. And again, I wasn't here to review what those impacts are to the town, but I feel good that you feel good about this. And
I will
you know,
say, Mike,
yeah.
No, finish what you're saying.
You know, and I also, you know, I think I also appreciated in the conversation that the applicant has expended a lot of time and money based upon a number that may have been an error on our part, but that they've proceeded over the past year or years based on this. And because of that, you know, it's you know, regardless of what the original intent was in December 23, we've been proceeding on this new number for quite some time now. So, you know, I do think it would be unfair to reverse course and go back 2 years after all the work the applicants put in. And I hope this building sells out and we hit the 95%. That's, you know, I'm going to trust Peter on that one for right now. So thank you.
I just want to mention, I view this as a huge boon to the town. It was a poor site. It was not, you know, it was a not productive site. It is providing housing. It gave us an opportunity to meet the MBTA communities at first, you know, as it was just passed. And I, quite honestly, we as a board put in a huge number of hours. And I also am especially proud of the fact that there's affordable housing, because that is a huge issue. Having a son that's, you know, at you know, an age of looking to buy a house, and just it's a real challenge trying to get into Westwood. And I commend, you know, Giorgio, Mr. Zaka, and his entire team, because I think this is a boon for the town, and that's why I don't want to throw more obstacles to people that do want to build housing in our town, because it is needed. So anyways, I second that motion already. So
Thank you. And I will just piggyback on that, we have our bylaw passed it in spring at town meeting to kind of require the tiers of percentages of AMI, and this project, they're doing that voluntarily. They're kind of the pilot for that, which I appreciate that very much. They didn't have to. They agreed to do that, which I think sets a good example and helped us move that bylaw forward. So again, we'll be able to offer more opportunities than we would have previously. So I do appreciate that. And again, the offer to keep the trigger number at 29 instead of
Moving it up one.
increasing it. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That feels like good faith. So I am comfortable with that, offsetting any potential expense.
agreed.
right,
We have to
so
vote though, Madam Chair.
Yes, I know that was
Before we go,
motion
I see
second
Elijah's
and
already going to the next
further
motion. I'm like, wait a
discussion.
minute, we didn't
Yeah,
vote on the first one yet, Elijah.
well, that's okay.
Yes.
That was the further discussion, which we normally don't have, but I'm glad we did, because this is kind of, we have new members, and this is, you know, it's something that
I
it
appreciate
deserves
that.
the discussion. Yeah, it deserves the discussion. So I'm glad we had it. All right. So we had a motion, a second, and further discussion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Maureen,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Okay, that motion carries. We have a second motion to consider.
I'll jump
And
into this one.
thank you.
Okay, I move that the planning board grant the requested second modification to the previously issued and previously modified Consolidated Mixed Use and Multifamily Residential Overlay District, MUMFROD, Special Permit and Earth Material Movement Environmental Impact and Design Review, EMM-EIDR, approval for 22 Everett Street, as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on August 7, 2025, subject to the following conditions. 1, except as modified by the conditions and finding hereof, the project shall comply with the project plans and with the conditions of all prior decisions for the property in all respects, and the applicant shall pursue completion of the project with reasonable diligence and continuity. 2, if the project or any condition imposed in this decision requires any other permit, license, or other approval from any town of Westwood board, commission, or agency, or other Commonwealth or federal regulatory agency, the applicant shall make an appropriate application for the same and shall obtain all required approvals prior to the start of any work. If any condition of such permit, license, or other approval from any other board, committee, or agency is inconsistent with this decision, the applicant shall make application to the planning board for an amendment of this decision. and the planning board shall consider such application in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 40A, Section 9, and all applicable planning board rules and regulations. 3. Any proposed alterations, modifications, deletions, or changes to the decision shall be requested in writing to the town planner and building commissioner prior to implementation. A. Proposed alterations which are considered de minimis by the building commissioner may be accepted as a note to the file. B. Proposed alterations which are considered minor by the building commissioner shall require the filing of a modification application of said approval for review by the planning board at a publicly posted planning board meeting. C. Proposed alterations which are determined to be major by the building commissioner or by the planning board shall be considered by the planning board as a formal amendment to the approval and will require a new public hearing before the planning board. 4. There will be a total of 160 apartment units consisting of 83 one-bedroom units, 60 two-bedroom units, and 17 three-bedroom units with a residential density of 23.6 units per acre. A total of 99 units in Building A shall consist of 40 one-bedroom units, 46 two-bedroom units, and 13 three-bedroom units. A total of 61 units in Building B shall consist of 43 one-bedroom units, 14 two-bedroom units, and 4 three-bedroom units. 5. Building A will have a 39,700 square feet footprint with 4 floors arranged as follows. A. The ground floor will include 39 garage parking spaces, including 2 ADA accessible spaces and 37 standard parking spaces. The ground floor will contain 7 residential apartments, including 4 one-bedroom units and 3 two-bedroom units. The ground floor will also contain 2 residential lobbies, bicycle storage facilities, a mailroom, leasing and maintenance offices, and a total of 12,000 square feet of commercial retail space split into 4 units. B. The second floor will contain 31 residential apartments, including 12 one-bedroom units, 14 two-bedroom units, and 5 three-bedroom units. C. The third floor will contain 31 residential apartments, including 13 one-bedroom units, 14 two-bedroom units, and 4 three-bedroom units. D. The fourth floor will contain 30 residential apartments, including 11 one-bedroom units, 15 two-bedroom units, and 4 three-bedroom units. 6. Building B will have a 22,050 square feet footprint with 4 floors arranged as follows. A. The ground floor will include 54 garage parking spaces, including 2 handicapped accessible spaces, 45 standard spaces, and 7 compact spaces. The ground floor will also contain bicycle storage, a mailroom, and 2 residential lobbies. B. The second floor will contain 21 residential apartments, including 16 one-bedroom units, 4 two-bedroom units, and 1 three-bedroom unit. C. The third floor will contain 21 residential apartments, including 16 one-bedroom units, 4 two-bedroom units, and 1 three-bedroom unit. D. The fourth floor will contain 19 residential apartments, including 11 one-bedroom units, 6 two-bedroom units, and 2 three-bedroom units. 7. Of the 160 residential apartments, 24 or 15% of the residential units will be affordable dwelling units with income restrictions as required pursuant to Section 9.9.10 of the zoning bylaw. All affordable dwelling units will be local action units, LAUs, eligible for listing on the Subsidized Housing Inventory, SHI, which is produced and annually updated by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOHLC. A. 136 apartments will be market rate units arranged as follows. 70 one-bedroom units, 51 two-bedroom units, and 15 three-bedroom units. B. 21 apartments will be affordable dwelling units restricted to households earning no more than 80% of the area median income, AMI, for the Boston, Cambridge, Quincy, Massachusetts, New Hampshire fair market rent area, BCQ, arranged as follows. 12 one-bedroom units, 8 two-bedroom units, and 1 three-bedroom unit. C. 3 apartments will be affordable dwelling units restricted to households earning no more than 60% AMI for the BCQ, arranged as follows: 1 one-bedroom unit, 1 two-bedroom unit, and 1 three-bedroom unit. 8. The applicant shall notify the Westwood School Department as soon as the residential apartments reach 95% occupancy. The Westwood School Department shall then certify to the applicant the actual number of school-age children who are registered to attend the Westwood Public Schools with home addresses at the property. In the event the number of school-age children so certified by the Westwood Public Schools exceeds 29 students, the applicant will pay and tender to the town of Westwood a one-time payment of the sum of $10,000 for each student of 29 students. Somebody needs to second it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was on mute. Second it.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Phil?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion carries. Thank you. Phil, you have a very pleasant voice for motion reading. I appreciate that.
I've been told I have a radio voice, Ellen, just so you know.
Well, thank you all for coming back this evening, and hopefully that is the last administrative thing for, well, hopefully forever, but hopefully we're good and you're good to go.
Thank you. Just another, I believe, cap and feather in Westwood's cap is we believe this is the first construction project actually being constructed or that started under the MBTA bylaw provisions in the state. So
In the entire Commonwealth.
yeah, that's our
Congratulations on that. That's excellent.
we that's our understanding. We're still trying to confirm it, but that's what we've been told. And we're I know Supreme is Truziellos are glad to be a part of that process. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. Okay.
Thank
I didn't
you.
want to comment until this was over, Phil. Your beard's a lot darker than mine is. Mine's all gray.
I'm looking good there, Peter.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Night.
Good night. Thank you. All right. So our next agenda item is number 3, 26 Dartmouth Street, consideration of proposed modification to a consolidated flexible multiple use overlay district, FMUOD, special permit, environmental impact design review, EIDR approval, and water resource protection overlay district, WRPOD approval to reroute pedestrian traffic to an auxiliary parking lot at 26 Dartmouth Street, and that is 24M. Looks like we have some folks from 24M joining us.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this late summer evening. I got Brian Beck here from the Seon Group and Brian Dundon, who's from RJ O'Connell, who's the project civil engineer.
Good evening.
I'll give just a quick introduction and turn the reins over to Brian Dundon. We're here on behalf of the applicant in connection with his now nearly complete renovation project at 26 Dartmouth Street. The existing building was renovated to create a brand new research facility, which we're all very excited about. The original FMUOD special permit was issued back in early of 2023. Construction is nearing completion at this point, and we knew we would have to come back here at this point just to close things out in connection with a certificate of occupancy. The original special permit required us to get the approval of the town planner or the planning board for this pedestrian connection between the remote lot and the newly renovated building. We knew at that time there was going to be one big obstacle, which is the 800-pound gorilla that is CSX. There's a CSX freight line that runs in between the remote lot and the new facility. So we had always tried, wanted to give our best efforts to try to get permission to do some improvements within that right of way. That's been rebuffed repeatedly by CSX, and so we're kind of left with a I'll say suboptimal, but we think still really good option in terms of just getting pedestrians safely from the remote lot to the facility. And so we knew we'd have to come back here for that to get final approval of the pedestrian connection. So what we're here is to get both that approval, which is what we need to get the certificate of occupancy, which we hope is going to be issued in the near term, and then to modify whatever conditions we need to, which is to show the new pedestrian connection. We've had great conversations with Elijah, with Amanda, with Mike Perkins, to try to come up with what we thought was a good plan. We submitted that plan. Beta Group has reviewed it. They gave a letter, I think it was issued relatively recently. We've got no objections to any of the conditions that were in that letter, which we're happy to accommodate. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brian Dunn, who could just kind of walk you through the plan itself and hopefully just give you a little bit more color to what I'm telling you. So thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.
Good evening. Elijah, do you have a chance, do you have the ability to call the plan up, or should I?
Yes, let me see. Take a look. Right, should be showing.
There we go. If, there we go. If we just blow it up just a little bit more, I think it may be easier to, okay. Good evening. Just for the record, my name is Brian Dundon. I am a project civil engineer with RJ O'Connell and Associates. And as Attorney Dundale alluded to, back in January of 2023, this board issued a special permit to renovate 26 Dartmouth Street for use to be occupied by 24M. The project is a little bit unique, where there is a satellite parking lot as part of the project locust area. As part of that original approval, we were proposing to construct a concrete sidewalk over the tracks, such that we could have a pedestrian route that could be a concrete sidewalk, and then there'd be a crosswalk along Dartmouth Street, and then we would enter onto what I call the main lot, which is the 24 where 24M is located. Unfortunately, CSX didn't see it that way. They denied our request to do any work within their dedicated easement area. So we're here tonight to propose an alternative pedestrian route for the board's approval. And essentially what it consists of is there is an existing sidewalk located, along the landscape strip. This is the remote lot. If you can see the cursor. Yes. So there's a concrete sidewalk parallel to Dartmouth Street on the project locus. So we're proposing to install a new painted crosswalk that gets you across the site driveway that will be delineated with a pedestrian crossing, a 6-foot wide pedestrian crossing access way, that would lead you to a crosswalk to another landing on the opposite side, or the 24M side of Dartmouth Street, and then employees would cross over and then connect up into the existing constructed concrete sidewalk, which would get you to direct entry to the building. In addition to this would all be done with traffic control striping, as you see on this plan, as well as signage. We are proposing, in addition to pedestrian crossing signage, we have also added railroad crossing signage along Dartmouth Street on both sides of the easement area to notify not only the employees walking, but also vehicles coming down the road. So in short, that's essentially the alteration of the design. So in lieu of the concrete sidewalk within the easement area, we have now gone to an alternative design, which is delineating with traffic control striping the pedestrian access route, and supplement that with traffic control signage. As Attorney Dugdale alluded to, the town sent this concept out with. I do have some other like visual photos that kind of give you a perspective as to what this would look like. There were 3 colored images. So this is an image where you're looking, your back is against the Denham Westwood Water District pump house, and you're looking towards University Ave. You can see on the right-hand side the new pedestrian crossing signage in fluorescent yellow, and the new crosswalk striping across Dartmouth Street. On the left-hand side, you actually see the pedestrian route on the project side of the railroad and how it is integrated into connecting to the concrete sidewalk that leads you to the entry of 24M's entrance area. And then a little bit of striping there as well to kind of, you know, for traffic control purposes. There is some other versions of this visual too, just to quickly go through them with you. This is okay. So this is looking towards Dartmouth Street from the remote parking lot. You have the crosswalk on the right hand across the sheet. On the left hand side, adjacent to CSX, you have the pedestrian route that leads you to the crosswalk across Dartmouth Street. And then just to the right there, you see that fluorescent yellow sign. That's a new crosswalk signage being added again to delineate the appearance for that crosswalk. Then the third sign, the third exhibit to this, Elijah, I think will give you the perspective of with your back against University Ave, Reroute RR3. So yeah, so this is where your back is against University Ave, and you're looking down right at the tracks across, and you can see again accentuating the pedestrian crossing sign. We have the rear road identification sign that is there as well, and the crosswalk with the landing area being planned for so that people can just then cross the tracks and then enter the property that way. As we alluded to, this was reviewed by the town's consultant, Beta Engineering. They had some minor comments to this design. As Mr. Dugdale indicated, we take no exception, and we'll incorporate those into the final drawings. Should the board approve this, that would be implemented or issued for construction. So in short, that's kind of the summary of the changes being contemplated or being proposed tonight and requesting the board's consideration for approval.
Thank you very much. I think I'll ask for Elijah, do we have any staff comments, any input that we
Yes.
should consider? Thank you.
Yes, so we were able to get Beta as our consulting town engineer to do the review. As was mentioned before, they made a few suggestions to add for some additional accessibility and overall pedestrian access. So there is a condition that if the board's inclined, would incorporate those proposed by Beta to be updated in a site plan by the applicant.
Thank you. Any other staff input before I move on to board comments, questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Then I would open up the floor to board member questions, comments. Phil.
Did I understand the applicant agrees with just, I mean, they're not substantial, the Beta recommendations? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're happy to incorporate all of it. Like, for example, like the clearing the vegetation, you can see it there. They recommended we clear that back. Things of that nature, we're definitely amenable to all the suggestions in there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because then if you're incorporating those, then I'm fine. Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board member questions, comments? I'm looking to see any hands going up. I'm not seeing any. I had a couple unless, Maureen, did you have, Maureen,
Yeah, I
you,
keep
please,
pressing the wrong thing to raise my hand.
no worries. You could just like wait, you don't have to use the,
I'm gonna
Or
start.
you
just-
just wave it. Yeah, exactly.
Just speak out. We don't care.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
see you.
I'm just curious as to, and I know this is just for why shouldn't the railroad have some responsibility for this, or am I like completely like to like either assist or not assist, but kind of like maybe give you guys some ideas too of what could be done to make it
Yeah.
safe?
Yeah, I'm happy to address that. So whenever you're doing any work within the actual right of way, the railroad itself, CSX, just has total domain. So what we do is we submit an application, essentially an application, to the railroad and ask for their permission to be able to make those changes. So the original proposal would have been, just asking their permission to be able to put in, nice concrete sidewalk, as Brian Dundon had mentioned, and they've got total ability to say yes or no. They're notoriously slow. I don't want to disparage them, but they live up to their reputation of being slow to turn around and quick to say no. So they're just not as motivated to get something done. I don't know if anybody here would have remembered. Mike Perkins and I were laughing about it because we were both here. I worked on the University Station project and some of the iCube funding that went into grading University Avenue, and for a long period of time they had to funnel down University Ave to this narrow point because CSX, we couldn't get CSX approval to come out and do the work. So it's that's why we wrote the condition. I worked on that with Nora and Elijah back a couple of years ago because we knew that we anticipated there might be an issue, and we wanted to get the optimal outcome here, but it's very difficult to get the railroad to pay attention to something like this.
So they don't have to do anything.
No, nope.
Okay.
There's a
It's not
joke
in
for
state or federal laws or anything that they have to.
they have a lot of federal laws that give them preemption rights. And so there's the joke: first came God, then came the railroads. Like they've got a lot of power and not a lot of obligation for anything other than to run railroads.
Okay. And I know this is not traveled all that frequently.
But,
Because I think I've been down, I go down there, not a lot, but like a couple of times a week. And I think the whole times I've gone down, I've seen like maybe one or two trains, and they are like putting along real slow. Yeah, but as long as that vegetation is gone, because trying to cross that street, whoa, or that little part.
It is a good suggestion. Yeah. Brian Dundon, you might know. My understanding is a secondhand, so I don't know, but I thought I heard that they run the trains like, was it once a week or so?
Yeah, I believe the times that I've been there during construction, it's once a week, and it's usually going to the Home Depot distribution warehouse further down University Ave. That seems to be where it's going.
Thanks, Maureen. Did you have any other questions? I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I was just, thank you.
That was a good question. Any other board member? Mike, yes.
Hi, I just wanted to ask about, and I might have missed this, but the lighting. Have you done an assessment on the lighting? Is it bright enough for people to walk? I see a sewer grate there that someone could misstep over. It's obviously a narrow area with a train track. Just could you comment on the lighting in that vicinity?
The lighting is, I guess in my opinion, the lighting is adequate. It's really the town of Dartmouth Street's the town of Westwood jurisdictional road, so it's got street lights on the roadway that provide lighting to go down there. When again, there is independent lighting on both the remote lot to keep that lit during business hours, as well as the main lot. To all new LED lighting has been installed as part of the renovation on the quote-unquote private property piece. But lighting on Dartmouth Street is under the domain and under the lighting for the town of Westwood.
Okay, thank you.
there a light on that pole that's right there?
I think there is, I
Because
think.
that would be ideal.
Thank you. Any other board member questions, comments? I sympathize. I know your original design was actually quite great, and I understand why we put the condition in, and I guess I was optimistic that maybe maybe we'd be able to get that done. But I appreciate your efforts in that arena, and just to echo my colleagues, I think, you know, as long as you make it as safe as you possibly can, I think getting rid of the vegetation is a good idea. I feel better that it's not like a highly trafficked set of train tracks. So yeah, I think you're working with what you have. And I appreciate that. I had one other question that you all may not have the answer to, and it's not directly related to this, but we are talking about the special permit, which was for an R&D facility. So I'm just curious. So my husband's a big fan of all things electric car and lithium batteries. So he's actually been following your company very closely. And it was in late June. He had sent me a video, which was a really cool kind of feature. It was Monroe Live, about 24M and the technology. And it was really neat to watch to kind of see how you guys do things. I've never seen that side of it. But there was one moment that kind of caught my ear, given I do what I do in my capacity in the planning board. There was a comment, and I don't remember the gentleman who that was being interviewed. There was a question about manufacturing, and he did confirm that currently the manufacturing is done overseas, but that they are planning to move the large cell manufacturing to the new facility they're building outside of Cambridge, which I can only imagine is Westwood. And I was just a little surprised by that because this special permit is for an R&D facility, and we did discuss manufacturing. In fact, I think I was the one who asked the question, and had kind of been told that manufacturing's off the table. So I'm personally interested in whether or not there are plans for, like, should we be expecting a permit at some point in the near or far future for a potential change to the scale of use? I was just curious about that.
Interesting question. Definitely, I was not expecting that one. So we're representing the owner of the building, actually, so not 24M. I don't know if
Okay,
someone
not
from
24M.
I don't know if someone from 24M is here.
Yeah, Brian, I talked to Kip. I'm not sure if he was able to join when I talked to
Okay.
him.
Oh, it looks like
Steve-
there are.
Stephen Mahoney is the owner's project manager on
It
the.
does
Okay, yeah, it
look
looks like both
they're
of them are
both
here.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both here.
Yeah, if anyone wants to raise their hand, if they have like a
Mhm.
ability to answer that, I can't speak to that at all. Well, there's
Yeah,
Kip.
that's why I said,
Hey, sorry about that.
since we were on the topic, I figured I would ask.
No problem. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Great. Sorry about the video. I was just putting the kids to bed. So
No worries.
here is the detail on that. So yes, I do acknowledge I did watch the Monroe Live video with my
All right, if
management
you
team.
could just mention your name.
Apologies. My name is Kieferos Pantelli from 24M Technologies. I'm the lead for factory design. I've been working with the construction team as well as Seon to make sure that we can satisfy all the town's needs for construction and what we need from our R&D facility, which it is indeed an R&D facility. What they were referencing for the large carpet cell format cells was that we're moving to start creating those cells in our research facility, and that will become basically the platform to stage manufacturing. So right now, the facility, as you well know, the current layout for the inside of the facility from the plans we've shared is can only support R&D activities. So it's not equipped to do the manufacturing side of this until we do additional permitting to expand upon the infrastructure. Does that
But
help
that answers
answer?
it does. I guess is the direct question is it your intention to apply to expand the use?
Right now that, I'm at my level, I don't have the business direction from my superiors, from my management. But my understanding right now is we would like to get to that point in time, but we are not there at this juncture.
Gotcha. Okay, that's helpful. I was surprised to hear that in the interview because that had come up, given that this is in a water resource protection overlay district, and there had been much discussion around the difference between R&D and manufacturing as far as that layer goes.
Yeah, so our technology is, we are not a manufacturing company. We are a development company at this stage in our history. And we actually are creating the technologies and efforts to hopefully license those technologies to other companies. If that helps.
Gotcha. It does. I appreciate that. So if I'm understanding correctly, currently you are still just working within the parameters of the R&D permit. That
100%.
Gotcha.
100%.
Okay, that was helpful. I figured since we were talking about the R&D special permit and I had y'all here, it was a good time to ask. So thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to address that.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right. That was all that I had. And I think there was, sorry, I'm just looking. There was some recommendations from staff about conditions on the permit. Elijah, if we just want to go over those quickly with the board before we move to motions.
Yes, so some suggestions for the modification, if the board chooses to grant it, would be to that prior to the construction, the applicant submits a revised site plan demonstrating compliance with all applicable accessibility requirements for the full path from the satellite parking area to the new sidewalk, including the installation of tactile warning strips, demonstrating the method for removal of the newly painted crosswalk on the east side of the tracks, which was installed prior to the CSX denial, and then that the revised site plan address the beta comments and the concerns expressed by the board at tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Unless my colleagues wanted to go over any of that or had any concerns or comments or changes, I think we could move to motions. I think we have a couple on this application, as we did on the last one.
Have they thought of a flashing beacon or anything like that either? I know there's not a lot of, there's one train per week, but I don't know whether that would be even something. Because, and I know it probably will look better once the vegetation is gone. You'll be able to see better. That was the only other thing.
That's a good question. I don't know if the project folks have any thoughts on that.
Right, Dundon, I mean, I'm not familiar with, you know, like an internal site like this, having railroad. I don't know if you happen to know any like the rules about like railroad beacons or anything like that.
I to be honest, I don't. I look at this as, you know, anytime you start introducing flashing beacons and whatnot, there is a substantial cost to that, as well as trying to get power and the likes to that. I would like to think that the proposal that we have now is, and again, we're talking about a train crossing once a week, is probably going to do the trick here. And I'd like to be able to have the ability to explore this option. And if for some reason things are not working out, that we would then get into a little bit more sophisticated approach on addressing pedestrian safety if that problem persists down the road.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion before we move to motions? Okay, then Elijah. Thank you.
Okay. I'll take a shot. I move that the planning board determine that the changes proposed in the application for modification of the Consolidated Flexible Multiple Use Overlay District, MUMFROD, Special Permit Environmental Impact Design Review, EIDR, approval, and Water Resource Protection Overlay District, WRPOD, approval for 24M at 26 Dartmouth Street, as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on August 8th, 2025, are minor in nature.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this motion?
Just for the record, the motion is for a FMUOD special permit and not a MUMFROD special permit.
Oh, FM, I apologize. With that amendment, Mike, can you second the amendment?
Second the amendment.
I have an amended motion and a second to the amendment. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. We have a slightly longer motion.
I move that the planning board grant the requested modification to the Consolidated Flexible Multiple Use Overlay District, FMUOD, Special Permit, Environmental Impact Design Review, EIDR approval, and Water Resource Protection Overlay District, WRPOD approval for 24M at 26 Dartmouth Street, as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on August 8th, 2025, subject to the following conditions. 1, except as modified by the conditions and finding hereof, the project shall comply with the project plans and with the conditions of all prior decisions for the property in all respects, and the applicant shall pursue completion of the project with reasonable diligence and continuity. 2, if the project or any condition imposed in this decision requires any other permit, license, or other approval from any town of Westwood board, commission, or agency, or other Commonwealth or federal regulatory agency, the applicant shall make an appropriate application for the same and shall obtain all required approvals prior to the start of any work. If any condition of such permit, license, or other approval from any other board, committee, or agency is inconsistent with this decision, the applicant shall make application to the planning board for an amendment of this decision, and the planning board shall consider such application in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 48, Section 9, and all applicable planning board rules and regulations. 3, any proposed alterations, modifications, deletions, or changes to the decision shall be requested in writing to the town planner and building commissioner prior to implementation. A, proposed alterations which are considered de minimis by the building commissioner may be accepted as a note to the file. B, proposed alterations which are considered minor by the building commissioner shall require the filing of a modification application of said approval for review by the planning board at a publicly posted planning board meeting. C, proposed alterations which are determined to be major by the building commissioner or by the planning board shall be considered by the planning board as a formal amendment to the approval and will require a new public hearing before the planning board. 4, prior to the construction, the applicant shall submit a revised site plan demonstrating compliance with all applicable accessibility requirements for the full path from the satellite parking area to the new sidewalk at 26 Dartmouth Street, including without limitation the installation of tactile warning strips wherever appropriate, and demonstrating the method for removal of the newly painted crosswalk on the east side of the railroad tracks, which was installed prior to the CSX denial. The revised site plan shall also satisfactorily address all concerns raised by the consulting town engineer and all concerns expressed by a majority of the planning board members in the course of the August 19, 2025 meeting. Said plan shall be submitted to the town planner for review and approval prior to the issuance of a final certificate of compliance for the 24M facility. A copy of this decision and the project plan shall be kept on the project site at all times during construction. All project-related construction activities shall comply with the time frame set forth in the town's general bylaws, Chapter 292 for noise and construction, which allows such work Monday through Saturday between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and Sunday between the hours of 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. The applicant shall submit as-built plans at the conclusion of construction, which shall indicate the location of all water quality units, underground storage tanks, pipes, and/or appurtenances that remain on the site prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy or use. The as-built plan shall be delivered in a format approved by the Information Systems Director for compatibility with the Town of Westwood GIS database.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr.
I
Dugdale?
see, yeah, his hand is up.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. I guess I just have a question. So it talks about a final certificate of compliance and certificate of occupancy. I just want to make sure that we're clear on what that means, because we intend to do that work immediately, but I don't think this is necessarily tied to the certificate of occupancy for the building per se. So I just want to be clear about that.
Elijah, can
So
sorry.
the site plan update is prior to compliance for the entire building. So that would follow the approval of the building commissioner, and then the certificate of occupancy would be for the site in total.
So separate from the building. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
Sure. So I don't hear any need to amend what was just read, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will take roll call. Phil?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good luck and enjoy the rest of your evening. All right. Our next agenda item then is agenda item number 4, vacancy. Consideration of authorization to notify select board of planning board vacancy. So I can speak to this a little bit, and then Elijah, jump in if I miss anything. As we know, Sean has left us for New Haven. So we do have an empty seat, which by law we need to appoint someone to fill until the next election, at which point that seat needs to be run for either, whoever we appoint can run, but anyone in town can then pull papers to run. Per Mass General Law, we, the remaining members of the planning board, are required to notify the select board in writing that we have received the resignation within 30 days of receiving the resignation. So that's why we thought it would be a good idea to have a discussion. Doesn't have to be a lengthy discussion about that. And then I think we should vote to formally instruct town staff to notify the select board in writing that we have received this resignation and we have a vacancy, before the 30 days are expired, so that we are in keeping with Mass General Law. So I thought, obviously, we need to discuss taking that vote. But I've had to participate in appointing people to our board a couple of times now, and I'm always very uncomfortable with it because at the end of the day, we're an elected board. So I understand we can't leave it vacant till the next election, but when I've had to do this before, I've tried to guide my thought process towards the person, to look at the qualities of the person who has left, what their priorities were, what their approach was, what their values were, etc. And I try and look for candidates that when we get our applicants, I try and look for someone who is as close as possible to that approach, because to me, that's honoring the will of the residents of Westwood who elected Sean for many reasons. So that's just how I look at it. I know people have different approaches to it, but it's always with mixed feelings that I go forward with an appointment. I understand we have to, but again, we're an elected board. So that's just kind of how I come at it. And I hope we have a very large applicant pool to choose from. And that was the one comment I had for you, Elijah. I had noticed a draft of the notice says experience with plan reviews, land use, zoning, engineering, and service on a municipal board or commission is encouraged and desirable. I'd like to add something to that, but we encourage all residents who are interested to apply or something like that, because I wouldn't want folks to think that you have to have prior experience to put your name in to be considered. Because again, like, we're an elected board. Many of us who are sitting on this board now had no prior experience before we were elected. So I just don't want people to not put their name in thinking that that is a requirement. So if there's a way we could just add some verbiage to that sentence to make it clear that, you know, all residents are welcome to submit a letter of intent, I would appreciate that. And I don't usually talk first, but this time I did. So I will open it. I see Maureen, and then Elijah. I know you're writing stuff down, but then we'll go to you if you have any thoughts to add. I'll start with Maureen since she's ready, and then we can go to other board members.
Very simple question. 30 days from the day he put the resignation letter in, or 30 days from today when we announced his resignation?
Good question. From receipt, which I believe was August 7th. So
was-
we're well within that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're within it, but plus his resignation letter was effective upon its submittal, so upon
Okay.
receipt. So, but we're well within that, but I agree, Ellen, I'm just gonna echo many of your sentiments. I think that this board can have a substantial and positive impact upon our community. And I think diversity of views, having various aspects of the town represented. I think it's wonderful that younger people participate. We encourage younger people to participate. And I think it is a very important part of our municipal government that we do, you know, make this decision tonight and go forward with encouraging people to make their submissions. So everything else you've said it very eloquently. So I would just make a motion that this board instruct the staff to go forward in writing. If that's a poorly phrased motion, Michael, I'll let you still second it anyways.
I think we actually have. I think we have draft.
Is there an actual
language that
motion
would be-
prepared?
I think
Oh, there we
is.
go. Elijah, you're prepared as always. All right.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
let me
please.
just briefly make a comment that, you know, Ellen and Phil, I think you said everything very well. You know, as to Sean, you know, I do tend to agree with what Ellen said about, you know, the difficulty of appointing someone to an elected board and, you know, inviting a very wide pool of applicants and finding someone who is intelligent, thoughtful, considerate, someone who would step into Sean's shoes, both in terms of his intellectual, you know, agility, but also in terms of, you know, how he saw the town and his values. And in terms of, you know, preferred, you know, requirements or recommendations of the skills, you know, just personally, when I review the hopeful wide applicant pool, I really won't be looking, you know, at that aspect. I'll be looking at many aspects, including that, but that certainly won't be the primary driver of a candidate that I find qualified for the board.
Thank you. Oh, and the one thing I forgot to mention is the second, just for anyone who's watching and who might be interested, the second part of the process is we will have a joint meeting with the select board, which I believe they're looking at September 29th. Do I have that
Yes.
right, Elijah?
That's
September 29th, where the remaining members of the planning board plus the members of the select board would then vote to select the appointee. So that's just the procedural way that this would move forward once we have gotten interested folks. So, all right, if there's no further questions or discussion on this item, we do have a lovely motion here if someone would like to make it.
I'll take a better crack than I just did. I move that the planning board authorize the town planner to send notice of Sean Weller's recent resignation to the select board on the planning board's behalf, and that the board instructs that said notice should state that Mr. Weller's seat on the planning board became vacant effective August 7, 2025, and that the board further instruct that said notice should respectfully request that the select board advertise the position and take up a vote jointly with the planning board to fill the vacancy at the earliest reasonable date, allowing sufficient time for the solicitation of interested residents to fill the open seat.
Before someone seconds that, I have one amendment to make. Right before the semicolon, after planning board's behalf, please add prior to September 7th. Sorry, Phil.
No, very excellent addition. With the amendment as indicated, comma, prior to September 7, 2025, after the initial plan with that amendment.
Thank you.
I second the amended motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the amended motion?
Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Elijah. Yes.
Yes, so I just wanted to, I guess, go on record saying that it was a pleasure to work with Sean, as he was a great member of the planning board, and I hope that you know, someone you know, of that generation may be able to come forward and fill the seat. You know, it's always good to have a mix of you know, different generational views on a public body. And yeah, definitely hope that the word spreads. If you know someone, people watching this recording, just you know, put the word out.
Thank you. Well said. And this will definitely be one of my takeaways when I record in session, perhaps, you know, the biggest takeaway for in session when I record that, so that it'll get an extra bump if anyone watches that. So thank you. All right. We have a motion, an amended motion, a second. Any further discussion?
One question for
Okay.
Elijah. Do we have any idea what an application might consist of? Like what would you normally, when you've done this in the past, you talking about a resume, a letter? Just curious, you know,
Letter
what?
of intent and a resume, Elijah?
Yes, so that was a great question. For anyone interested, it is a resume and a letter of intent.
Thank you.
Perfect. And that this will be posted on the town website and probably other places like the Westwood Wire and Facebook pages, that kind of thing, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it on the Westwood Minute as well. Excellent. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will take roll call. Phil?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion carries. Thank you. And obviously, I know town staff will not wait till September 6th, but if you wouldn't mind just letting the board know once that notification has gone out, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I make a small request?
Of course.
I'm hoping to catch a 9:40 train. Otherwise, I'll be waiting till after 11 o'clock and I'm still at work.
You're still at work. All right.
So if we are able to accelerate so we can
I think
conclude
the
the
rest of it,
remaining items in the next 6 minutes, I still might be able to catch that
6
train.
minutes?
challenge
Well,
accepted.
Chop,
All right.
Not trying to accelerate anything that needs to be said.
No, I don't want you to have to stay in your office later. I think we've gone through the stuff that really required deeper discussion. So we'll move on to, yeah, we'll move on to item number 5, review of draft meeting minutes from July 29th, 2025. Did everyone get a chance to review the draft meeting minutes? Did anyone have any changes?
None for me.
I'm seeing none, in which case I would entertain a motion.
I move the planning board approve the minutes for the meeting of July 29, 2025 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion carries. All right, next item is agency and committee updates. Has anyone attended any meetings that they wanted to report out on? Summer's been pretty quiet.
We did have a fair housing committee meeting. A lot of stuff going on and very engaging discussion. We're still working on a number of issues in terms of the production plan, all the things that we still have, but it was very, very useful. And yeah, I think we're going to have a good product later this fall.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other agency or committee updates? Okay. Miscellaneous updates, general miscellaneous updates and administrative items. We can move back to that now. Elijah?
In terms of the advertising for this position, we did just, I was able to get access to the planning board's Facebook page. So moving forward, I'll start figuring out ways to kind of activate that.
Excellent. I almost forgot we had one. So that's great to hear that we can get back into it. So great. Any other administrative or miscellaneous updates?
Not at this time.
All right, then our last agenda item is upcoming meetings. We have board meetings for September 16th, 2025, September 30th, 2025, and October 21st, 2025. And
Just a FYI, I'm going to be traveling on the 16th. I hope that I'll still be able to log in, but I just my schedule's still uncertain, so I have to figure that out. When obviously the election bumped us from the 9th, and that moved us. So I hope I'll be able to log in, but I just want to give that as a heads up.
thank you. Appreciate that. And we hope you'll be able to log in as well. And as you mentioned, there's a special town election on September 9th. Folks, remember to vote. It is the Fire Station 1 project funding ballot question. So please, folks, make sure you remember to vote. And with that, if there are no other agenda items, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Phil?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. We are adjourned. Phil, I hope you catch your train.
That
Really
train.
think I
Thank you, everyone.
He's
Have a
gone.
great night.
Gone
He's
already.
gone.